On today's vlog, I'm going to talk all things training for female competitors and how to bring up certain areas that are going to be needed for stepping on stage. So, first of all, the main thing I think that most competitors need to look at is their actual quality of training. So, are you logbooking? Are you focusing on improving execution and not just moving a weight from A to B? And a very key one, are you focusing on getting stronger? It's something I see a lot with female competitors. There just isn't enough intensity in their training sessions and there isn't as much care with their training as there needs to be. It's more just they're going in, they do a session, they leave, but there's no thought to it. There's no thought about actually improving what they're doing or getting stronger. There's a lot of time I'll see, even on gaining phases, their body weight's going up, but the weights are still staying light, and it's just not really what you need to be doing if your aim is to be improving your physique season upon season. You need to really force change in your body, and I think sometimes it's down to coaching, sometimes it's down to actually knowledge towards it, but the main things you need to look at are this. When you're in your gaining phase and also in your dieting phase, there needs to be consideration for getting stronger and using the logbook. So make sure your programming is planned out. I'll go into programming later, but make sure it's planned out. Make sure when you go into your sessions, you're actively looking to improve reps, load, or execution. So load is the driving force of hypertrophy. The main thing you want to look at is trying to increase that logbook over time. And if you're not tracking that, how do you know where you're progressing? How do you know what areas are not progressing as much? How do you know what areas are progressing a lot? You need to have all of this looked at, and it needs to be done over countless months to get enough data to fully improve your physique. So logbook is number one. Execution, now this is a big one. A lot of people logbook, which is great, but then you see this thing where it's a chase for numbers all the time and you lose sight of actually moving the load well, because yes, load is the main thing we want to look at, but if you're not moving the load with the correct muscle you're aiming for, you're not going to grow. So best example would be how many times you see some guy in the gym squatting 180 kilos with terrible form and he's got tiny legs. It's because he's not executing correctly, he's not contracting the muscles, he's not focusing on what he should be doing. So make sure there's a fine line between progressive overload and just moving a weight. So you really need to look at that. You should be recording your videos and then assessing what you're doing. So sometimes when you get to a certain load and your top set's getting quite heavy, you might need to look at it and assess it and go, right, well, this is where it's breaking down. All these little things will improve what you're doing. Now, the other one is get strong. Don't be scared of pushing load up, because I do see it a lot where it's like people go in the gym and it's just kind of 40%. There's never that max effort. You need to be hitting failure. You need to be striving to get stronger. It will be scary when you put quite a lot of weight on a hack squat, or when you start to get really heavy on an RDL and you unrack the weight. It's going to be difficult, but it should be uncomfortable. It shouldn't be going into a set and you're doing 8 reps, but it's just no intensity or no effort. And that is honestly one of the big things we see. It tends to be two different things. So with guys, they tend to train hard, but there's no real thought of control. And with females, there tends to be a bit more control and no real thought of load. Now that's a sweeping statement, I'm aware of, but it is true. I see it a lot in coaching. So take all these factors and put them into your training. Think about every set you go into, you're forcing the change in your body. You're forcing every single ounce of every set you can out of it, because you don't want to leave the gym and think you've not put your all into it. So every single week you should be progressing somewhere. And if you don't believe me, just watch some of the videos that I'm going to put on the screen.
just going to go through some of the programming you might see for clients that I use. Obviously, I'll show you 3 different examples here, all different females, but similar in terms of what their goals are. The only difference really will be how much volume they can handle and what areas need brought up. So this is from my client Lauren, who obviously won the UKUP last year, placed in every show she'd done. She was a junior. Now, from a physique perspective, she just needed more tissue everywhere. But as we were dieting down, we needed to prioritise areas that needed brought up more. So you'll notice in the first one, it's lower in delts, but predominantly hamstring and glute focus. So we've got a few loading movements there. You'll notice the rep ranges here, and this is the big thing. So her lowest rep ranges are 6 to 8. And then we've got some here like 20 to 25 rest pause, 15 to 20 sets. So there is a lot of variation. The other thing you'll notice is, so if I was programming for me, these would more than likely be 2 sets across the board just because my recovery is not as good and the load I'm shifting is higher. With females, I will tend to have a little bit more volume just because they can handle it. This will pull down as you get closer to the show, but at the start you need to look at that. So going from lower to upper stuff, again, we know what needed work, predominantly delts and back. There's one chest movement in here, but quite a low angle on it. We've got some higher volume stuff through the shoulders, quite a significant amount there. So you can see the rep ranges, 3 different rep ranges here. Same with down here, the bigger movements for back, lower rep ranges. I'm still trying to focus on that aim to progress stuff and get as heavy as you can. Obviously, as she got leaner and she's getting predominantly lighter, some of the loads will shift down because it's going to be hard to RDL as heavy as you were in your gaining phase when you're stage lean. But what I tend to do is, as people get leaner, I'll just pull down sets, and that is the easiest way to do it. So you might go from 3 sets to 2. You might even go from 2 sets to 1. But if you don't have a set program to follow, you're not going to get that. You're not going to have that ability to just address stuff and improve it. The main thing, again, with here, predominantly, there's like a lower body, but this one's predominantly quad focused, hamstring focused again, but we do have some quad movements in there. And what I'm trying to do across the board is, you will see, there's a lot of similar movements. The movement she's good at, we're trying to replicate and just get better at. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. It doesn't need to be loads of really, really technical stuff in there. It is just what works. Here's a different program where, if you look at this here, this client, just due to work demands, can't train as many days. So this is a 4-day split. But this client as well, her ability to recover and her ability to, if I was to do a full lower body day, it's not going to be productive because she doesn't have the recovery capabilities. So what I've done is, this is a lower and push. So we've got 3 lower movements at the start. She's a very strong client as well. So what that means is, I can get away with this. She's got 3 lower body movements, and then as we go, 4, sorry, if you add in the adductor, 3 lower body movements at the start, then we go into shoulders. That's just to give her more of a break. Now, programming can be specific to the person. It doesn't have to be one set rule for everyone. The main idea again is, with her, it's prioritizing what needs brought up. So hamstrings and glutes need brought up. They're the first movements here. I know delts need brought up, so there's a fair amount here. On her pull day, this is just pull movements, but then I've got in a lateral raise there because delts are a real area that need brought up for her. And it's okay to cross over with them. Again, here, this is predominantly a push day, so predominantly upper body, but we've got a squat in there. We've also got adductors. For her, this works far better. Her logbook increases, her recovery is better, her stress levels are lower, whereas when we tried an upper-lower split and full lower body, it just didn't work. And it's okay to play around with stuff and find things that your clients enjoy, but they can train with the most efficiency. Because if they're effective and they're putting their all into it, they're going to get more results. If someone doesn't like the way something's set out and they struggle to recover from it or struggle to put their all into it, they're not going to get the same amount of results. And that is something you really need to look into. Again, going into the upper-lower split, which is the last day, it is pretty much, if you look across, it's pretty much back, lower, and lats. So and delts. So every day she has got a delt movement in, and that's okay because the recovery capabilities of that are pretty easy as well, because a lot of it is just lateral work. It's going to be more volume. It's not going to cause as much breakdown to the muscle. And now this is Chloe. So Chloe is a UKUP pro, and again has placed every show she has done. She is a freak, so she can handle really high volume, a lot more, that probably double the volume I could handle in workouts. But I've coached her for so long, I know this, and as she gets closer to show, yes, we pull it down, but she can get away with pushing in a fair bit more volume in every session. So how I split hers up is a little bit different. So we've got delts and lower body. Her delts are actually a strong point, but we just need them to grow a little bit more. So she's got delts and lower. It's basically just a mix. At the end, obviously, we've got some volume in on the quads. Her quads are the area that need brought up. Now, she has got chest in, but it is just 2 movements, and it's just at a high incline. So we're just working on the clavicle portion. So you can have chest movements in. It's just you don't need as much sets across the week as you would if you were male. Movements in here. So again, really different mixed rep ranges here. We've got some drop sets. We've got a lot of sets with her, so she can take it to true failure. So 1 set here of a T-bar row, but it's an 8 to 10 rep range, and then into a drop set. Same with up here. We've got a hack squat. It's 1 Widowmaker. So a lot of intensity, but she's not needing to have 4 sets there because I know she can take it to true failure. Things like this, we then have into a lower. So you'll notice it's not loads of exercises, but the amount of exercises, if I was to try this, I probably wouldn't get past D, just because my ability to recover from it would be shocking. Whereas her ability is really, really good. She's from quite an athletic background. She's got far better recovery capabilities, and we look at this via the feedback. So her logbook still progresses with this. If yours is struggling, you might think that you might notice that your volume is actually a bit high. Again, rep ranges. So she's got a 6 to 8 here. She's also got 2 28 25s. So high rep blood volume work is in there. Go down to push. Again, there's 1 chest movement in there, and then onto lower and back. So just to get more volume in, I've just added a couple of movements across here. So you'll see at the bottom we've got 2 back movements just to get more in. But I've also got sumo deadlift in there, which is going to work erectors and upper back as well. The rep ranges on that sumo deadlift, if I pull this up here, you can see there's a split. So there's a 1 5 to 7 rep range, 1 7 to 9, and 1 10 to 12. Every set she's doing here is taken to failure. Also, so for example, 2 30 to 35 rep short step lunges going to target the quads. If you train like a pussy and you're scared to go to that place where it's really difficult, don't program things like this because you're going to half-arse it. This is only there for clients who have that ability to just get in that zone and just keep going. Program what works for you. If you know you don't train that hard and your ability to lift heavy loads and go to that place you need to isn't there, that will happen. But what to do is just put more volume in, because you can handle more volume. You're not taking it to true failure. If you're someone who buries yourself in a set, you can get away with less volume because you are taking it to failure. And that's something we can look at. It's something that will be looked at when I program for clients. Not everyone's the same. Everyone can handle different loading. Everyone can handle different lower back loading. Everyone can handle different, like some people can squat more than 1 time a week. Some people can't. So we need to look at all this stuff as we go.
The other part of what you should be looking at with programming that I didn't touch it on too much in the client programs is the volume. So if we are looking to bring up certain areas that are in line with what you're competing in, so for example, bikini, delts, glutes, etc. On a gaining phase, as you start to go through, you're just going to increase volume slowly. What I'll tend to do when I do this is I won't increase it so much on your bigger movements, so you're not going to put in 4 sets of RDLs, because if you can do that, you're not training hard enough. But on your blood volume work, for example, you may add in more sets, or you may add in higher rep ranges, things like that, or perhaps rest pause sets, muscle rounds. But the volume has to be enough across the week that it's going to stimulate the muscles for growth. But volume, and this is a question I get asked a lot, how much volume do I know a program? How much you can recover from? Every single person is different. Don't look at someone else's program and go, fucking hell, they're doing a lot more than me. Maybe they can recover better from it. Maybe they tick all the boxes outside of training better than you do, so they can facilitate that. You need to have, and this is the big one, you need to be able to train hard, but you need to be able to recover harder. And it's why you see people going into shows and they're leaning down and the tissue's just chipping away, and they get to stage and any of the work they've done in the gaining phase is gone because it's just not been done smart. So just really be aware of that. Also, as you get closer to shows, it's not about doing more, it's about pulling volume down and just being smart with it. It should be good execution across the board, but we don't want to keep pushing more and more in, and that's something I see a lot. You get closer to shows, for some reason all your heavy stuff comes out, and then people start doing really high rep and more sets of stuff. Don't do that. Actually pull down volume as you get closer to the shows, because you're getting leaner, your recovery is not as good, your food's lower, your steps or cardio might be higher. So make sure all this stuff is there. If you're unsure about programming or anything I've covered across the 3 vlogs, just drop me a message in my DMs on Instagram, which is in the panel on the bottom. And if you've got any questions about, or any feedback, just let me know, please, because it's great to learn how I can make these better and also make them more enjoyable for you guys to watch. Thanks very much, and next week will be the final episode of the 4-part female competitor vlog series.